The headliners. My name is Edward Mbeche, CEO and founder of Helen Super App. Today, I have a special guest. This guy is awesome. His name is Michael DeLon. I hope I'm not messing up. DeLon,
You did
DeLon,
well, Edward.
yeah, Michael DeLon. And Michael is a he serves business experts and taught leaders to create a book without writing a word. As the number one, like Amazon bestseller author and America's foremost authority on credibility marketing, he teaches how to establish and market your credibility to gain more clients. Michael, welcome to the headliners.
Edward, thank you so much for having me here, man. It's going to be a great conversation. I'm looking forward to it.
Yes, this is so awesome. So I know it's a mouthful. Like when I was like, not, and I know there's so much stuff that I cut out, like I did not introduce. So let's do this. Let's do a quick introduction for people to know who's Michael DeLon, right?
Sure. Yeah.
Let's go way back. Like, where did Michael grow up? Where you
Oh,
from?
wow.
Yeah,
You're going way back. Okay, so
like way back. Yeah.
I grew up. I was actually there this weekend. I grew up in Kokomo, Indiana. So Indiana's in the middle part of the United States, kind of right in the middle, an hour north. Grew up there. My dad was a fireman for about 20 some odd years. My mom worked at a grocery store as a cashier. Middle class family, had an older brother and older sister, and so that's where I grew up, Kokomo, Indiana. It's a great place to grow up. I always knew I wanted to leave though.
It's a place. It's a great place to grow up, and just kind of soon you're older enough, you're like, okay, I'm out of here.
That's right.
I'll come to visit. That's so awesome.
Yeah,
so, from there, like growing up, high school, then moved out. When did you end up moving out of Kokomo, Indiana?
Out of Kokomo. So let me kind of give you the background. Okay, so on June 29th, 1987, my dad was killed in a motorcycle accident. And when I got home that night, there was a note on the table from my dad to me, and it says, "Mike, I'm up to the lake to see mom, his mom. My mom was working until 10 o'clock. See you later, Dad." That's the last thing I have from my dad. That note, Edward, hangs in my closet in my house. Okay, my house burns down. That's the only thing I'm coming in to get.
Jeez.
So I think that note planted a seed where today I write letters to my family on their birthdays, their anniversaries, their graduations, affirming them, because letters like that, notes, they stick around. They have meaning. They have impact.
Yeah.
I also think that was kind of the beginning of what I do today, and we'll get to that. So I grew up in Kokomo. My wife graduated from college in Iowa, came to Kokomo to find me. Well, at least that's what I say. And we moved from Kokomo to Anderson, Indiana, which is just about 35 minutes away, so I could finish my college degree and start working at a Christian radio station. And I was in sales there, and I did that for a long time. But the first 2 years I was in sales, and Edward, I realized people didn't want to buy Christian radio. What they wanted to do was sell their products and services. So I had a decision to make. I had to either become really good at selling or really good at marketing. And so I chose marketing. And so I read the books. I followed the gurus. I went to the conferences. I learned how to do marketing for small business owners. And so my business would grow. Going back to my dad and my raising up, I was raised in a Christian home. I'm a follower of Christ. I've now been married for 32 years to my wife, Jill.
Wow.
We've got 4 children, 2 biological sons, 2 adopted daughters. We did foster care for 8 years. So that's kind of a little background of Michael. Okay. All right. Now back into the story.
Yeah.
So I'm working at Christian radio, helping my clients grow. This is in the 90s. Okay. And then in 2000, some friends of mine started a .com back when Amazon was just getting started. Okay, they were a bookstore back then. And so I left the radio station, went to this .com as a salesperson. I was selling websites and banner ads to like hospitals and car dealers who didn't even have websites back then.
I remember those.
Okay. So Edward, then you'll remember that company was ahead of its time, Edward. That means it went bankrupt. So I found myself in my living room at my house, looking up at the ceiling going, all right, God, that was not the plan. What am I supposed to do? Okay, let's back up a little bit. First 5 years of my marriage, Edward, like this, okay? My wife and I are complete opposites. We both grew up in church, but nobody ever taught us how to be married. So after 5 years of this, we
Yeah.
went to a family life marriage conference. Family Life's a ministry of Campus Crusade for Christ.
Oh,
And
but first, let's explain, because people maybe they're gonna be listening to the voice without the
yeah,
video. They heard this meaning
fist,
fight,
my fist going back and
fighting.
forth.
Yeah,
I would walk on eggshells every morning because
yeah.
she and I just saw things differently, right?
Mhm.
And so there was a lot of conflict, a lot of miscommunication, just a lot of
Yeah.
and we didn't know how to fix it. So we went to this marriage conference, and they shared with us over a weekend God's blueprints for marriage. I didn't know he had blueprints.
Yeah.
So we grabbed those blueprints. We started applying what they taught us. Our marriage got better.
Yeah.
Okay. And so when the day came when the .com went out of business, and I said, God, what am I supposed to do? He spoke to my heart. He says, Michael, I want you in a ministry to marriages, and I want you at Family Life, that ministry that changed. And I said, well, duh, why didn't I think of that? Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
So we raised support for 2 years, had to raise our own finances because it was a missionary organization. And we moved from Indiana down to Little Rock, Arkansas, because that's the world headquarters of Family Life was in Little Rock. That's where I live today. So we moved down here, and Edward, dude, I thought I hit nirvana. I thought this was the best. Why would I ever leave doing what I love to do? So I climbed the corporate ladder. In 6 years, I was serving on the leadership team of Family Life.
Yeah.
And then they started going through corporate reorganizations.
Mm-hmm.
And they rolled out after the third reorganization, they rolled out the new org chart. My name was no longer on the leadership team.
Not again.
So they started shuffling me around the ministry to do different jobs, right?
Yeah,
and so that began a 2-year, what I call a prison term, because I was in a job that I hated at a ministry that I loved.
Yeah.
But I'd go home every day just exhausted, hating it. And so after 2 years of that, I finally realized I got to get out of this place. So I talked to my wife. I prayed. I said, God, I got to get out. And he said, what do you want to do? I said, well, I really want to go help small business owners with marketing because they struggle with it. They hate it.
Yeah.
I love it.
Yeah.
And he said, go. And so on January 1st of 2013, I escaped from prison. I left the ministry and started a marketing consulting firm here in Little Rock.
Yep.
And I would call you, Edward. I'd say, hey, Edward, I think I can help you grow your business. And you would meet with me. And we'd have a great conversation. You like me. And somewhere in that conversation, you'd say, now, Michael, what have you done in the last few years? Who have you helped? And I said, well, I've helped marriages and families at Family Life. And you'd say, Michael, that's honorable. Way to go. Oh, look at the time. I've got another meeting coming up, but let's keep our conversation going on and schedule another time to talk, Michael. And you'd usher me out the door without hiring me. And that kept happening. Everybody loved Michael, but you saw me as a ministry guy, not a marketing guy.
Yeah.
And so I knew I had to fix that. So I went to my church one day, second floor. I was pacing the hallways back and forth, crying out to God, saying, Lord, how do I help Edward? Because I know I can.
Yeah.
And he gave me the idea to take all of my marketing strategies and put them in a book. And so I did. So I wrote my first book on marketing.
And this is the first book.
This is my first book out.
What's the name of the book?
On marketing.
On marketing.
On marketing. You can find it on Amazon.
On marketing by Michael DeLon. Okay.
By Michael DeLon. And so I published my book, Edward, and then I would call you. Say, Edward, I think I can help you grow your business. You'd set a meeting with me a week later. I'd mail a copy of my book to you. A week later, I'd walk into your office for our meeting, and there it was. My book was on your desk, dog-eared, highlighted, underlined. You read my book. And in that meeting, you would say, now, Michael, in your book, you said, how do you help me do that?
Yep.
And you'd hire me. And the next person hired me, and the next person hired me. Now,
wow.
Edward, let me ask you a question, right? What changed between the first meeting I had with you and that second meeting? Did my background in ministry change?
No.
Not a lick.
No.
Did my understanding of marketing change? Nope. The only thing that changed was how you thought of me. When you got a copy of my book, I instantly became an expert in your mind.
Yep.
So when I walked into your office, you had pen in hand, ready to take down my prescription, my solution for your challenge. Yep. That changed everything. I started gaining clients. I said, this is so cool. Why don't business owners why don't they publish a book?
Yep.
Well, Edward, I don't know if you've got your book done yet, but it is challenging to write a book. This book about killed me and my family. I mean, it tore us apart.
Yeah.
So we created a process where today I help business owners and experts, thought leaders
Mhm.
create a book without writing a word. And then I teach them how to use their book, their credibility and their authority to attract ideal clients, to gain more referrals and to grow their revenue. That's what I do. That's how I got to do this. And I absolutely am passionate about it.
Let's do this. Let's go back a little bit because
Okay.
I don't want to leave. I want to bring this like we're gonna go back about the
Yeah.
marriage when you had 5 years of just
Conflict. Yeah.
headbutting conflict,
Mm-hmm.
and then we're gonna come back to this how you can help like or how you help CEO or
Yeah.
public speaker and all that stuff. So 5 years
Yep.
headbutting. Maybe this can be a really good teaching moment for people who are married because like right now like I have multiple friends who are married for a year or 2 years divorce 1 2 year divorce.
Yeah.
You guys were able to stay together for 5
Yep.
years until you found the solution. What did you think that held you together, or was it just the time? Because back then was like no social media, no,
Yeah.
no this. Was it the family value? Was it the church? What did you
It,
think that? Mhm.
yeah. It was a number of things. Number one, it was our faith in Christ. All right.
Okay.
We're both followers of Christ. And so in our world, when I got married, um the phrase is you're stuck.
Okay.
Okay. Meaning divorce is not an option.
Yeah.
All right. The
Mhm.
D word, divorce, it never gets uttered in our family because it's not an option.
Yeah.
So we knew we were together. Now the question is, are we going to be together happy or together not happy, right? So number one, our faith in Christ, and then two, coming out of these blueprints, understanding number one, to be able to look at your spouse, at your mate, in the eyes and say, "You are not my enemy." To understand that there's a larger spiritual fight battle going on between Satan and the world and me, and he
Mhm.
wants to rip my marriage apart.
Yep.
And he is the enemy of my marriage, not my wife.
Mhm.
And so for us to, instead of eyeball to eyeball fighting,
Mhm.
we learn to get side by side, arm in arm, and look out and say, we have an issue, we have a problem, whatever that is.
Mhm.
Let's work on it together and stop saying, well, you do this and you do that. No.
Yeah. Mhm.
So you are not my enemy.
Yeah.
Learning how to communicate by really listening. We're not good at that. All
Yeah.
the communication stuff I took in college taught me how to talk. I never took one course on how to listen.
Huh.
Okay?
Good.
And
Yeah.
then probably the third thing is really understanding forgiveness.
Perfect. That's so awesome. Hopefully, someone will learn from this, get some value from this, instead of rushing out to getting divorced.
Oh,
And
please, yeah.
and nowadays is like with the I don't know. Hopefully, people will get to experience this beautiful life where
Oh, God.
you've been together with someone for like over 30 years, which
Yeah.
is it's just I'm jealous of
Oh, yeah.
that.
Run
So
after it and hold on to it.
let's talk before we get to this to what you do. I know I have attended one of your networking events
Mhm.
because these are two different things. How did you? And it's great. It's really good. It brings a lot
Yeah.
of good people to the network events where you're meeting people with like different industry and all kind of stuff, and everyone is just excited. How did you get to that? How did you get into kind of putting together networking
Yeah.
with people?
So the word there is called modeling. Okay.
Modeling. Okay.
Modeling. So I've over the last year and a half, I have
Mhm.
attended a
Mhm.
number of networking events.
Yep.
And I've watched them. I've picked out what I like about the good ones. Some of
Mhm.
them are like, okay, I don't want to do that.
Mhm.
And I've watched them enough, and I've built a following of people who
Yeah.
understand who I am and my stuff. And I'm like, I want to be able to give more, and I want to be able to connect people, because that's one of my strengths is connecting people. And I thought, well, I've connected with a lot of people. I've gained some clients and some partnerships through these networking events. Why don't I host one? So I took 2 or 3 of the networking events that I've attended. I've kind of piecemealed them together to go, here's kind of the flow that I want. And then we added some things because we always have a short teaching component around credibility of some nature at the beginning. And then we break them out in the rooms because I know that's the value, is connecting people. So I experienced it firsthand. I modeled it. I figured out what do I like and not like, and then I created my own. Then I said, I'm just going to do it. So I just started inviting people. It's absolutely free. We do it once a month, and it's just a great opportunity. Thank you for coming and sharing with people, because we want more people to experience this. Because how else, Edward, would you and I ever get together? But not for something like that. And that's really the heart behind it, is to help people connect with one another, share some tips and some strategies. And then, down the road, I know without a doubt, Edward, we're going to gain clients by doing that event. We're going to have people reach out and say, hey, I want to talk to you about this marketing thing or whatever. Great. Love to talk with you. But that's not the overarching purpose of that event. So it was experiencing it, doing it, modeling it, and then just launching it.
Do you want to maybe go a little bit in explaining how it works? Because for people, sometimes maybe they have been to like a networking event, and whereas like maybe it's just a room, or like bunch of people, like where you're going from one person to one person. Can you explain the way where I thought it was really valuable, like where we were put into different groups, like from group here, and then you switch again from another group.
Yep. So we use a Zoom meeting. It's not a webinar, it's a meeting. And that way we can have everybody on screen at the same time. So we can talk to everybody. And then we also have Zoom rooms, right? Breakout rooms. And those hold, depending on how many people come, I mean, they'll hold from 2 to probably 8 people. We usually try to limit it to 4 in each room. And we try to have a question for the room. And so one of the questions is like, okay, how are you in this room when we do this breakout? We want you to talk about how are you preconditioning prospects before you ever meet with them? What are you doing, right? So that's what I want you to talk about in your room. And when you get in your room, the person with the least amount of hair is the first one to go. And then the Zoom, my son runs the back end of it. We just assign you to some random room. You pop in there. Now you've got 3 other people you've probably never met before. You get to introduce yourself, who you are, put in the chat your LinkedIn connections, your website, whatever you need to do to connect with them, and then talk about that question. What are you doing? And then you learn from each other, and hopefully you're getting their contact information. So after the meeting, you can reach back up and say, hey, Michael, I was in that Zoom room with you. I'm really intrigued about what you're doing. Let's have a 15-minute call and see if there's a way we can work together or how we can add value to one another. That's how you do it. That's the structure of it.
Exactly, which is also really good, because even when you're reaching out to them, it's not gonna look like random when people like approach you on LinkedIn. This is a warm introduction. You already met, so it's a smooth kind of transition, instead of just random person. We say, hey, Michael, I'm gonna help you how to write a book. It'll be like, did this person read my profile?
Exactly. Yeah, absolutely. So it really is, and you both have a connection in me.
Exactly.
Somehow you both are connected with me at some level. But then if you reach out and say, hey, I was at Michael's credibility networking event, we were in that same room, let's have a conversation. I'm telling you, 99% of the time, they're going to say, yeah, let's do that. And then you build the relationship. And that's the one thing, Edward, that I talk to a lot of people about, is relationship needs to lead everything that you do. Don't lead with your sales pitch. Don't do that. Build the relationship first. See if there's a way I can serve you. So we do that. We do a 90-minute networking event. We'll usually have 3 of those breakout rooms. And then we come out of the breakout room, and they're 10 minutes or so each, 10, 15 minutes each. And then we come out of there and we say, okay, what'd you guys learn? Who'd you meet? And then we go in and we have another question. And then we put you in a different room next time. So hopefully you're with 3 new people. So over the course of 90 minutes, you might get to meet 9 different people. Well, there's 9 different contacts, people who have connections for you, people who have podcasts you can be on, maybe a client, maybe they know somebody. So that's how you start building your business. If you did that once or twice a month with different networking events, it's a great way to add marketing to your business and let people know who you are and what you can do to serve them. And the only investment is 90 minutes of time.
That's so awesome. So let's do this. Let's do an elevator pitch. Like
Hmm.
before we jump into this, how you help an expert. We just met somewhere at a Starbucks or whatever it is, like place. And I say, hey, Michael, nice meeting you. What do you do?
Hey, Edward.
Yeah.
Thanks. Yeah, it's great to meet you too. I help business owners and entrepreneurs create a book without writing a word and then use their credibility and authority to gain clients, get referrals, and grow their revenue.
Perfect. I love it. I love it. So let's go into that. So when you're helping expert and business leaders, we're in this new age where everybody is an expert and everybody want to. So how do you like when you approach these people, right? You approach expert leaders. What exactly are the criteria of like this person that qualified to be this kind of to put out information that will be valuable to um,
Yeah, well, I mean, when people come to us, we're looking at what is your area of expertise, how long have you been doing it, and what other credibility do you have? Have you been on other platforms? Do you have a podcast? Have you been on stages? And realize none of those are required.
yeah.
Okay, because when I wrote my book,
Mhm.
I was what I refer to as a coffee bean. Okay, I love coffee, Edward. I'm drinking coffee right now. Okay?
Yeah.
But if you had a bag of coffee beans there with you and you open them up and you pour them on the table in front of you,
Mhm.
they all would look the same and smell the same. In business, if you look like and sound like all of your competitors,
Yeah.
you're a coffee bean. You're not giving me a reason to choose you. So early in my career, I was a marketing consultant. Well, I was head-to-head competing with the ad agencies and all of the media reps who were knocking on your door trying to get you to buy their thing, whether it
Yeah.
was cable TV or radio or billboards or newspaper, or whatever it was. I was just one of many until I
Yep.
published my book.
Yep.
Simply because I did this, I published my book, I became an author. I was ushered to the front of the line and I was in a category of one because none of those other people had a book. They all sounded like, as I would say, Charlie Brown's teacher. If you're familiar with Charlie Brown, wow, wow, wow,
Yeah.
wow,
Yeah.
wow, wow. They're all saying the same thing.
Yeah.
So don't think that you have to have 15 years of experience to become an authority. I was at one of these networking events the other day and I met a kid. He's a kid. He's a young kid. He's like 23 or 24 years old.
Yeah.
But he understands how to use social media and video better than most people I've talked to. And I'm like, dude, you need to have a book. You need to lead the field because people are going to look at you and go, you're just a young kid. Oh, yeah?
Yep.
Would you like to read a copy of my Amazon best-selling book and understand why people are choosing to do business with me? Wow, you're an Amazon best-selling author and you're 25?
Yeah.
Yes.
Mhm.
That changes how people think about you. So we look more than anything at who are you? What is it that you offer? And how can we position you in the mind differently than everybody else so you'll no longer be a coffee bean? Did that answer that question?
Yes. Yes. Perfect. So who are the perfect I'm trying to see who like your perfect ideal expert. Like you said, like if you get like 1, 2, 3, 5, like perfect. If you can
Yeah.
like maybe list 5 of the perfect kind
Yeah.
of
Yeah.
expert that.
So really it's somebody who's been in business, usually
Mhm.
five or more years.
Okay.
They understand the value of marketing. They have a marketing budget. Okay. I'm
Okay.
not inexpensive by any
Mhm.
means.
Mhm.
And so you've got to have enough money to invest in yourself and your business. And you need to have enough knowledge of what you do that you can actually help people.
Yeah.
Now that's pretty much everybody, right? As long as
Yeah.
you've been in business long enough, if you're a startup, I can help you, but you usually can't afford me.
Yeah.
Okay. That's
Mhm.
why my ideal client has been in business 5 years or more. They've got a budget, they've got revenue coming in, but they know they're leaving a bunch of money on the table. They're not closing, if they have 10 sales calls, they're only closing 1 or 2. so we can help them close 3 or 4. They're not getting great referrals. We can teach them how to do that. They're not following up on the other 8 people that they're talking with who aren't buying today. They're not doing anything. I can teach you how to do that.
Yeah.
I can teach you how to get referral sources. There's so many things I can do to help you grow your business by teaching you our strategies, our structures, our systems, and helping you become an author, that it just takes an investment in you and your business. So ideally, somebody who's been around 5 years or more, they've got a marketing budget, and whether they're a solopreneur or they have a small team, I usually work with small businesses as far as teams. Okay. I've worked with some large companies and bigger, and that works.
Yeah.
But my ideal is somebody who's a solopreneur, or they have 3 or 4 people working with them. It's their business and they're an expert at what they do. If that's you, I can help you elevate yourself in the mind of your audience and take your revenues to all new levels.
In my head, I was thinking too, and I'm like, I have 2 friends who are realtor, and I'm like, you guys will be perfect for this.
Totally. Yeah. We've done 4 or 5 books for realtors. And dude, I was a realtor for like a year and a half years ago, back in a former life.
Yeah.
One of my realtors is Dayton, Ohio, here in the United States. Dayton, Ohio's a #1 realtor. He's been there for 20 some odd years. He wrote a book with me a few years ago. And yeah, he takes it on listings. He gives it to people. And when he pulls his book out and says, well, here, why don't you have a copy of my book? They're like, you wrote a book?
Yeah. Yeah.
And they just signed the deal. And I mean, commissions in real estate are pretty hefty sometimes, depending on your market. But because how many realtors are in any market?
Yeah.
Hundreds.
Yeah.
What are you going to do to separate yourself? So realtors is great.
That's so perfect. So what is the process like? So someone comes in, they qualify all the listing that you put, like at least 5 years, like extensive experience in your industry. So like this friend, who's my friend, like with the realtor, like realtor experience, they've been, I think, for like almost 10 years or so.
Oh, totally. He's there. They're there.
So when they come to you, what exactly are you extracting information via interviews with them? How does this get written without writing a word?
Yep. So that's great. So we've got a 4-step process. We take everybody through it. So first step is we're going to clarify your message. We're going to understand what's unique about you. And that's going to build your, what I call your brand strategy. That's what it's going to stop you from becoming a coffee bean. Okay. That's number 1. Once we do that, then we go to the create your book process, where we assign a writer to you. And then through Zoom calls, the writer is going to ask you questions to build the outline for your book. You've got everything in your head that you need to create a book. Yep. Our job is to get it out and to structure it, to ask you questions. And that's how you speak to write your book. So you actually speak your book, we record it, we transcribe it. Our writer then takes your words and they massage them into your manuscript. So our writer is doing all the writing for you.
Yep.
We create a compelling cover. And then step 3 is we publish you to Amazon and Kindle and in paperback and in PDF. So you can have this on your website and different things. And we guarantee to make you an Amazon bestselling author. We have a promotion engine and a mechanism and a system to guarantee to make that happen, because that builds credibility in the eyes of your audience. So they're more attracted to you. And then the fun really happens when we go to step 4, which is helping you monetize your expertise. Yep. That's where the money's made. Okay. You're not going to get rich selling your book. Okay. Yep. You're not. You're going to create wealth by giving your book away to attract ideal prospects, convert them to clients, get referrals, build centers of influence, monetize your book. And you're going to do that for the rest of your career. Because, I mean, Edward, I wrote my book in 2013.
Yeah.
I still use it today to gain clients, get referrals, and grow your. A book has shelf life. It's sacrilegious to throw a book away when somebody gives it to you. And when you sign it to them, they're going to keep it, which means you're going to become a household word. You're going to become a reference for that person. And that's how we help you through our systems and everything to grow your business. So that's our 4-step process.
Wow. So that's so perfect. So the other thing I was thinking, so there's this part where I'm going to keep using my friend, the realtor. Sure. There's this part where you're writing a book because you want to be able to be credible in your industry and also, get more sales. So there's another part where if someone is not looking for either sales, marketing, or anything, they're just like, let's say it's a CEO of a company somewhere, right? And they're not really looking for clients or whatever. Let's just say like, not look, but they want to write experience about their life journey and what they have learned and all kind of stuff. Do you also deal with people like that, or like
We
to put their book together,
we can,
to
yeah,
monetize the book, to
as long
monetize
as
the book?
yeah, as long as they understand there's got to be a revenue stream behind the book. Usually, now some people
Mhm.
come to me and they just want to write that memoir, right?
Yes, yes.
We've done that.
Mhm.
It's the same process.
Mhm.
We've had clients come to us who are entrepreneurs. They run a fairly large company. One was a roofing company.
Mhm.
He'd been doing it for 20 years. He had a big team. He wrote a book to teach his employees the way they should be doing their business. Why do they do their business? Why is PI roofing PI roofing?
Yeah.
And his book, it was more of for his employees than the external public, right? Even though the
Yeah.
external public got some, that works too. And so if you're a CEO and you want to write your memoirs or your business experience, kind of like Lee Iacocca has done, right? We can help you with that if that's that's not our sweet spot.
Yeah.
But it is something that we can definitely help you with because our process works as long as we don't do fiction books. Don't come to me wanting to do a fiction book. I don't do poetry. Okay. But if
Yeah.
you're a business person and you have in your mind what you would like to say,
Mhm.
that's all I need. Because we'll take you from there. Don't think you have to go create an outline or write don't do any of that, please.
Yeah.
Just have a conversation and let's see if we're a good fit for you.
Budget wise, so because you're talking about putting them to help them even to become like bestseller, right?
Mm-hmm.
Budget wise, like what do you are you able to share that?
Sure.
What are
Yeah.
they looking at it like? Because you're talking about you gotta get them marketing, maybe you get them like PR, like where they are doing live interview from whatever channels, media and stuff, and of course, yeah, just promotion and stuff. Yeah.
Yeah. Everything, everything has a range, right? So we
Mhm.
go on the very, very, very low end,
Mhm.
about $7,500, all the way up to about $36,000. And it just depends on what that client needs. If you're wanting to be an Amazon bestselling author, you're going to be looking at about $24,000 with our marketing systems and everything else. Right? If you want an audiobook, we can help you do that. That goes even higher, right? If you don't need that, if you can't afford it yet, or maybe you've got everything in place and you're looking for something less, well, then we've got a couple programs down in the bottom. But 90% of my clients come to us at about the $24,000 mark. And it includes their custom book, Amazon bestseller, and our marketing systems. That's where our
Yep.
sweet spot is.
Yep.
But we know there are people on either side of that.
Mhm.
And so we've kind of built some systems. And that's why we always talk to people and say, Edward, what are you trying to do?
Mhm.
And what makes the most sense for you? I had a guy come to me a few months ago and he says, okay, Michael, I'm ready to write my book. And I said, Ryan, no, you're not.
Yeah.
Because he wasn't. And
Yeah.
so we took him and put him in one of our coaching programs, helped him really understand his positioning, changed the name of his company, got him a great message. Now his business is growing. I met with him this weekend. He's like, okay, about 6 months from now, I'll be ready to write my book. I'm like,
There
maybe.
you go.
I really want to help people, right? And I
Yeah.
know that people are in different phases of business. And you don't always need to be an Amazon best-selling author. That may not be where you are. That's okay.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
why we have different programs. But by and large, most people come to me at that point.
That's good too, because also it's not the way you sound like it's not just about just taking their money. It's more like, hey, do you really have something to say? Are you ready? You're not ready. So it's like, so that's really good. It's like,
Yeah.
there's a value there instead of just like, yeah, we take your money. That's it kind of thing.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't want that. So our family, see, this is a family business,
Yeah.
right? We're followers of Christ. Our family verse is Proverbs 22:1.
Mhm.
And that verse says, a good name is better than riches. So we're always leading with my reputation and the reputation of my company.
Yeah.
And I never want somebody to say, well, they're just after your money. That's not what it's about. I'm here to help you grow your business.
and it's really good to hear that, like, because there's only a few of you guys who are left. Like, everybody's about is about just kind of grabbing it, be like, hey, there's money,
Yeah.
so
No,
which
I want to be
which
here in 20 years, man. I want repeat customers, and
yeah,
I
yeah,
want you to tell all your realtor friends and everybody else, say, hey,
yeah, yeah.
when you are having coffee or tea with your realtor buddy,
Mhm,
and the conversation comes up, he's like, I'm thinking about a book. I want you to go, I know who you need to talk to, and you're
mhm,
going to connect him with me
mhm.
because you know me, you trust me, and I'm quality guy. That's what I'm after. That's how I do
Listen,
marketing.
listen, the way I'm looking at it, like, because like both of them like in the DC area, so they are surrounded by this massive market area, right? So where they can sell a house for 500,000, they can sell a house for $20 million. So it's like this area. So I'm thinking this is a really great investment,
This
because
is
if they show up there, the house, the owner of the house, right? They are trying to put a house in the market, and they go like, hey, why should we give you this house to list? To be like, hey, here we go, here's the book,
well,
right? From there, it'd be like, wow, a
how about
book.
how, 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 how about doing that ahead of time to say, okay, you're that fancy homeowner. I've
Yep.
got an appointment next week with you. How
Mhm.
about I send you a signed copy of my book with some other information so that when I arrive, you already know who I am.
Already they went through, be like, oh, they can,
And everybody else is
yeah,
sending brochures and flyers, and you're sending them a signed copy of your Amazon best-selling book. Do you think that might have some influence?
yeah, definitely, 100%.
Do
I
you
love it.
think you might get 1 or 2 more listings this year?
Love it, love it.
Do you
That's so
think
awesome.
it'll pay for itself? So,
Oh, definitely,
yeah,
right?
it is.
Michael, I know you're a busy guy, and I don't want to
Mm,
tie you up more, but I really appreciate for your time, and thank you so much, my friend.
you're welcome.
And of course, we are still connecting. I'm looking forward for the next modeling.
Yes. Yeah, exactly.
So it's
Exactly.
gonna be awesome. Thank you so much again. Can you, maybe before you go, can you just kind of tell a little bit how people can find you?
Yeah, the easiest thing is just go to our website. It's
Mhm.
paperbackexpert.com. And from that page, you can sign up for our networking events. You can find free videos. You can learn about what we do, schedule a call, but paperbackexpert.com.
Perfect. And also find you on LinkedIn, any social media. Just
Everything. Yeah. But go to my website. It's all there.
perfect. Thank you so much, Michael. Again, I really appreciate for
You're
this, my
welcome,
friend.
Edward. This has been lots of fun.
This is awesome.